Welcome to Kingdom Builder TV. I'm your host, Jay Heilman. Thank you so much for joining us. 2024 promises to be another big year of faith-based films. One such film that's on the horizon is Ordinary Angels, and this movie stars Hilary Swank, Alan Ritchson, and Nancy Travis. And here to talk about this incredible new film is producers Kevin Downs and Andy Erwin. Guys, welcome to Kingdom Builder TV. How are you doing?
Hey, Jay, good to see you. Good to be here again.
Good to be with you, buddy. Always a pleasure to talk. I like the name of your show because Kingdom Story Company, we're like-minded.
Yeah, good to see you again, man. It seems like just last year we were talking about Jesus Revolution, and we're here again to talk about another movie that you guys are putting out.
I know Jesus Revolution seems like 3 months ago. Time goes by fast, but excited to bring another film to audiences and let them enjoy this next true story that we think is just extraordinary.
Yeah, well, Ordinary Angels comes to theaters on February 23rd, and I've had the honor of seeing this heartfelt and inspiring film. But for those who are not quite familiar with it, tell us a little bit about this film.
Yeah, true story, based in Louisville, Kentucky, about this little family, a dad and two daughters, and they just lose their mom to a incurable liver disease. And we find out that the youngest daughter also has the condition, and just about this dad's struggle for survival. And so Hillary plays this hairdresser, a small town hairdresser, and she's got her own little struggles and fight. And she reads about this family in the newspaper and decides, you know what, I'm going to do something and try and help this family out. It just seems like they need help. And so she tracks them down and knocks on their door, and they're like, "Who? I'm sorry, who are you?" And they didn't realize uh, that she had already done some work on their behalf. Like she did like a sort of like a haircut-a-thon type of day and raised a couple $1,000 and just handed it to him. Like, look, you may not want my help or whatnot, but just that selfless act of kindness invited her into their world. And what we see happen is that this incredible event, the day comes where this young girl needs a liver transplant. They got 8 hours to get her from Louisville, Kentucky to Omaha, Nebraska. And of course, it's right during the 100-year blizzard that struck Louisville in January of 1994. And it just seems impossible. But with Sharon, nothing is impossible. It seems like she's a force of nature. And through the help of the community, and at the center of this is Southeast Christian Church in Louisville, Kentucky. Big church pastor, friend of ours at the time, Dave Stone. And it really, what it did is it united this church because they found a way to be able to come together. Small thing of just shoveling the parking lot of snow, but they came together to be able to do something to be able to help save the life of this little girl. And because if she doesn't get off to Omaha, they have to give up the liver, and there's no hope. She's got a couple weeks to live. So inspiring story. There's some humor in it, but there's also a lot of tears, and the performances from the actors, Hillary and Alan, are just phenomenal. And so it's a treat to be able to bring this to audiences because not every day we get to work with actors of this caliber and with a story which is truly extraordinary within itself.
Andy, Ordinary Angels, like your other films, is based on a real life story. What has drawn you into the real life stuff opposed to fictional ones?
We kind of, when we did the movie Woodlawn, it kind of is where we found our voice. And our background was documentary film work, and so it kind of felt like a natural fit. But when we did that, we found like it was really an interesting conversation starter. For the first time, the critics gave us a fair shake, and they didn't criticize us for the faith that we were putting in our films because somebody really lived it. And so it allowed it to not feel like propaganda. It made it feel very real life. And so that led to I Can Only Imagine being our breakout kind of hit. And we just said there's something powerful about somebody's real life testimony, and people don't know how to criticize that. And it became an entry level event to be able to draw people outside the church walls into trying to understand what somebody's really lived. And it led to, American Underdog, Jesus Revolution, and now Ordinary Angels. So it's been a privilege to tell true stories.
Yeah, I love these types of films, the ones that are based on real life stories. You've done many of them with Kingdom Story Company in the past. And, it's crazy how these stories come together. And, with Ordinary Angels, this is Kingdom Story Company's follow-up to the successful film from last year, Jesus Revolution. It also seems to be kind of a timely follow-up to that one. How is that?
Yeah, I mean, look, Jesus Revolution, true story about what the gospel is all about and what it's doing to save people's lives. And we saw thousands of people come to Christ, in the story of Jesus Revolution, which obviously happened in real life. But then a lot of people will be like, okay, what's next? Like, how do we live our faith out? What actions can we take? And so when we saw the story of Ordinary Angels, I'm like, oh, this is a perfect follow up to that. Here's a church that's at the center of this thing, and they give an example of how they can be the hands and feet of Jesus to be able to come together, work together, and rally to help save a life. And so to me, like, this is the action step. And what's great is pastors, as they see it, they're getting it without us having to tell them anything. They're like, you know what, this is actually the perfect movie for us because it shows us how to live out our Christian faith. And that's what I love about it, is something so simple, like something that's not okay, it's not something where it's extraordinary and it's not attainable and all of these things that oftentimes we see in movies. These are everyday people, a hairdresser and a roofer, that just have, good, hardworking blue collar jobs, and they do something to get out of their comfort zone to be able to selflessly go and help other people out.
Ordinary Angels is a phenomenal film. Got a chance to see a screening of this before the film came out. How did this story end up in your guys' lap?
For us, it was just unexpected because it started with the musician Dave Matthews, the Dave Matthews Band, and Dave he had seen this story and just fell in love with it and championed it for years. Made it to the desk of our producing friend John Berg, who produced movies like Elf, and then John brought it to our bosses at Lionsgate, and they said, "This is a story of faith. You guys need to look at it." When it was brought to us, we read it and we're like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." The story is about this church, Southeast Christian Church in Louisville, and the chairman of our board at Kingdom Story Company is an elder at that church. And so it just came full circle and ended up back on our desk. And when we read this true story of this community fighting for this little girl's life and ultimately the church getting to be the hero, we were like, we have to be a part of telling this.
Yeah, and you touched on the fact that this film has some incredible actors and actresses in it. You work with a lot of them yourself over the years, not only with films that you've done personally, but with films that you've produced and stuff. And with this one in particular, you work with Academy Award winning actress Hilary Swank and Alan Richardson, who is known for his title role in the TV series Reacher, which is an awesome show, by the way. What was it like working with them in this cast for the film?
They're really great. I mean, it's their personalities are awesome. They're just the sweetest people. No pretentiousness at all. Sometimes you can get that with some actor types if they've been in the business a long time. And Hillary has, but she's just a very down to earth, middle America. I think she lives in the Midwest and is just kind of out of the Hollywood scene. But this story resonated with her on a personal level. She took care of her dad for a little bit, who had a lung transplant. And so, it was something where she's like, you know what, I could put myself into this story because there's so much of it that resonates with me personally. And for Alan, I mean, he's got young kids of his own. He's like, man, I know what this guy Ed is all about. It's kind of me. He plays this big big dude in a lot of the roles that he plays, and he's a big guy. But at the end of the day, he's got this soft heart, this sweet spirit, on fire believer. I love that about him, and loves the Lord. And it was a treat to have him in the film because I didn't realize how gifted he was as an actor. And so this is a role that is very opposite of what he has played. Does a really great job doing it.
Well, with Alan, I actually had seen this film before I had watched the Reacher series, and I'm like, wow, this is a big dude. And going back to, this film, he did an incredible job. I mean, this was unlike anything that he had done with that and other stuff that I went and, researched him for, but
Yeah.
it was incredible. Just the role that he did. I mean, he did a fantastic job alongside Hillary in this film.
Yeah, no, he really did go toe to toe with Hillary. I mean, obviously Hillary comes in, she's two-time Oscar winner, knows her stuff, knows how to do it to perfection. And Alan, though, just as good. I mean, there was no like intimidation factor or any of that stuff. I mean, the two of them really acted well together. And it was a very sweet set, just to be able to see the environment that they were able to do what they did in this film.
That's awesome, Kevin. Andrew, tell us what your experience was like working with the cast on this particular film.
With this one, John Gunn, our director, was really passionate about who he wanted in this story, and so I kind of have to give props to Kevin on the Hilary Swank of it all. When two-time Oscar winner Hilary Swank, that's on our wish list, but that's never in the realm of possibility for us. Like that was way out of our, hitting way outside of our weight division, and but she read the script, and it connected to a personal story with her father, and she just said, "I have to tell this story." And so she became passionate about it. And next thing Kevin was able to get her into the cast. And then she and John Gunn just did an amazing job of crafting this character together. And then with Alan Richardson, when we cast him, the Reacher series that he stars in had just started, and they had just released season one. He wasn't a household name yet, but he did the movie, and then the process, the season two of Reacher just exploded, and then he became he cast as the new villain in the new Fast and the Furious movies, and now he's a household name, and he's a person of faith. He's a Christian, has a YouTube channel where he has this Insta church that he is preaching on once a week, and it's just an amazing cast that kind of came together. And then my contribution was Nancy Travis from Last Man Standing, and I've been a fan of hers for a long time. We had an actor that was going to play that role, had to drop out last minute because of some situation that popped up, and they were like, "Who we look at next?" I was like, "Please cast Nancy Travis." And next thing you know, she's in the cast, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, all three of them are amazing. I remember first seeing Hilary Swank back in The Next Karate Kid back
Yeah,
in, I believe,
yeah, back in the day.
yeah, back in 1994, and then Alan Richson, of course, in the Reacher film, and then Nancy Travis. Back I remember seeing her in 3 Men and a Baby back in like
Yeah,
late 80s.
yep,
So yeah, three very familiar actors that I was familiar with that I'm really glad that you guys had in this film.
that's awesome. Yeah, it's the cast is getting stronger and stronger, and in our films, and there's just an opportunity right now with Faith to see that happen. I'm excited about that.
So Andrew, I see that you have a brand new podcast. Why don't you take a moment to tell us about this new podcast real quick?
Oh, thanks, man. It's something that's new for me. I grew up, my dad was in talk radio growing up. And so I grew up, in the studio by the engineer, and I would sit by the engineer, and I would always be, organizing my baseball cards when I was a kid. And so I kind of grew up around radio. So we were like, it was pointed out by our marketing team that we'd done a really good job of fighting to make quality movies, but we hadn't had a very good conversation with the audience that let them behind the doors to kind of understand the process. So we're like, we're Kingdom Story Company. Story is the most important word in what we do. And so we're like, let's do a podcast that allows us to, bring our friends to the table for people to get to know who they really are. And so it's called The Storytellers. And it's about the storytellers that have inspired us and the stories that have inspired them, and just the personal journey of each of those. So we've got an amazing lineup. First 5 episodes are out right now. Dennis Quaid and Devon Franklin and Candace Cameron Bure, and then we just released one with Patricia Heaton, and then we've got other ones coming up this season that are going to be really, really special. Dallas Jenkins, Alejandro Montverde from Sound of Freedom. There's just a great workings of people that we really, really respect. And so it's out now wherever you get your podcasts. And it's a little experiment that I'm having a lot of fun doing.
So Andrew, what kind of film would you love to work on in the future that you haven't already tackled yet?
You know, uh, each filmmaker, we do a film with the hopes that people will let us do at least one more. The hat I'm wearing is a little bit of a shameless plug. I Fearless is my favorite book, and it's a Navy SEAL story, true story, New York Times bestseller. We chased it for years and finally got the rights to it. Jason Hall, that wrote American Sniper, is writing the script right now along with John Gunn, and that one I'm hoping to be in production on by the end of the year. But it's that one will be a. I've always wanted to do a military story, and to be able to do a Navy SEAL story is a dream come true. Adam Brown's story is an important one, and I want to get it right. It's going to be a special one to tell.
That's amazing. Well, the film's going to be coming to theaters, and when people go to see this movie in the theaters, what's the biggest thing you want them to take away from it when they leave the theater?
Yeah, our hope, as in all of our films, we tell true life stories that showcase the power of the gospel. This one obviously fits that bill, is that people would walk away knowing that they are significant in their life. No matter what you do, no matter what your job is, you matter. You might matter to somebody else that you don't know. And sometimes that can take just a simple greeting, a simple hello, that you think that, okay, this person, maybe they just need somebody to talk to. And that leads to a couple of conversations that might actually impact somebody else that you don't know. And so it all starts with us inside. What can we do to help somebody else? And it doesn't have to be an extraordinary act. It can actually, a convo can lead to another act that's an extraordinary act. But it all starts with from within, where we can be the hands and feet of Jesus. And that's what this movie is showcasing.
Amen. Well, I'm excited about this one, and I know Kingdom Story Company has another film slated to release later this spring featuring a certain CCM group that folks are bound to have heard of. Tell us about what's on the horizon for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a busy year, and a lot of this is because of the success of Jesus Revolution, and even going back to I Can Only Imagine. So what it shows is that audiences are resonating with the stories that we are choosing to tell, and so we've never released two movies in the same cycle before, so we're giving that a shot. Unsung Hero comes to theaters April 26th. It's the true story. It's a music biopic. It's a true story of the band For King and Country, as well as the brother's sister, Rebecca St. James, who was an enormous influence on my life in my 20s. Just her music and her story itself is just so inspiring. And so here's that story, just all kind of wrapped up into one, how this family immigrated from Australia to be able to not only unite and stay together, but chase their dream of being able to tell music. And they had literally nothing, and everything was kind of taken away from them, but they didn't let the failures stop them. And to see them unite, the unsung hero is the mom, in the family, where she just was uniting this family amidst all failures, doing everything possible to be able to have a roof over their head and have food on the table. And beautiful stuff. One of the best films that I've seen that resonated with me personally. And so, it'll make you laugh and cry just in the right places. Joel Smallbone, who is, of course, For King and Country, not only co-directs the movie, but he also plays his dad in the movie and is the star of the film. And so, talk about multifaceted, multi-talented. Really, really wonderful job by those guys to pull off something so great. So audiences will see it. It's in theaters everywhere, April 26th.
So glad you can come by today. And, I'm praying that the Lord can continue to do big work with Kingdom Story Company and all the films that you guys have coming out, man. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.